Roughing the passer calls.
What is going on, everybody? We are back. Welcome to Roughing the Passer, the divisional round edition of Season 2. We apologize for not being here last week. I was down in Florida doing some work, and Newman was probably trying not to kill a couple people. Or if there's some unsolved murders, they might want to look at Newman, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
I was institutionalized and in no shape
that's what I assumed. That's what I assumed. So we are back, everybody. Yeah, no, but we are back, everybody, and could not be happier to be here. It's playoff time, John. I mean, is there a better time in football? I mean, come on, dude. It's playoff time.
Well, the only better time of football is when Tom Brady's eliminated, and I don't think that's going to happen tonight. Apparently. So.
Well, we're gonna take a look. As if he does get eliminated, he better lose by 1 or 2. That's all I have to say. But speaking of that, it doesn't look like that is going to happen. But first off, guys, obviously only a couple of games this week, but we are going to run down those real quick for you. And so obviously yesterday, and guys, as always, please call in and join the show. If there's anything about today's games you'd like to talk about, if there's a question you have, if you disagree with something we say, anything, whatever it may be, call in. If you just want to brag that your team's fucking awesome, jump on in. Or if you want to talk about how terrible your team is or a recent hire or whatever it is, call in, hit us up. We'd love to have you on the show. But all right, we'll dive into the divisional round. The Elite Eight, if you will. And yesterday you had 2 games. You had the Packers beating the Rams 32-18. Packers look great. That Rams defense is scary, and they look great. And then your other game yesterday, a shocker a little bit. The Bills manhandled the Ravens 17-3. I thought it would be a close game. I thought the Bills would win. I didn't expect just like a shit whipping like I saw. And then today you had somehow the Browns were still in the playoffs, and they almost knocked off the Chiefs. We'll talk about that game later. Of course, the Chiefs were led by Chad Henne most of the way, but the Chiefs did end up running away with it 22-17. And in our last game coming up with about 5 minutes left in the game, the Bucs are beating the Saints 30-20. And I'll tell you what, man, Drew Brees, everyone's been saying it's one of Drew Brees' last games and everything. He sure is playing like it. Like he looks like a different quarterback. He looks like a guy that was not the same guy that had been playing the last couple of weeks of the season. Just watching him play, you can tell that he knows that this is probably it. So these could be the last 5 minutes of Drew Brees' career right here.
Yeah, and it probably should be unless they can win, and I hope they do win. But I hope Drew that he doesn't, do the old "well, I'm coming back another year." I think. Yeah. It's like a fighter, right? A boxer that just kind of, they know when it's over, and other people know when it's over, and they keep, taking more fights on. So I hope he's already said this was supposed to be his last year. I think he's even got a deal in place to be a commentator, and I just hope that's what he does. It's obviously not the way he wanted it to be end in his last year, but
he does have a job as a commentator. Shockingly, it's not in the NFL. He's going to be doing Notre Dame games.
Yeah.
He's going to be the voice of Notre Dame, which the one benefit of that is that he will get the Purdue game because they play Purdue every year, it seems.
Yeah.
So he will get to call that Purdue game. But I expected the NFL. I don't think he'll be in college that long. But as a guy that, I mean, I'm a Panther fan. I've grown up going to Panther games since Drew Brees was in the league. I saw him at least once a year, most of the time twice a year, for most of my life. And as much as I hated him, you had to respect the man. He was incredible. So I don't want to spend too much time on it at the beginning of the show. But if in fact this is his last 5 minutes, which it really looks like it may be, kudos to Drew Brees on an amazing career.
Yeah, no doubt, and like I said, I hope it doesn't end tonight, but I also hope he kind of sticks to his word. Like you said, he doesn't look like the same guy. You hate to see guys, kind of stick around. I'm in that boat in Pittsburgh with the Roethlisberger. We can talk about that maybe later, but it would have been nice to see him go out on top, but. It's not a Disney movie, so it doesn't always have that ending.
No, absolutely. And what's up, Cuff Daddy? Call in, buddy. Call in, join the show. He says he doesn't think it's his last game. He's been great. And yes, the receivers are dropping quite a bit of the balls, but like John and I said, he looks great today. But if you look over the course of the season, there were way more games that he looked way too old. There were games that he looked like the MVP guy that he should be. That's me. Plus, he signed a contract already. I just don't see him backing out of that.
I think the biggest difference, he doesn't put that same mustard on the ball.
No.
Even the interception he just threw, about 5 minutes ago, he just didn't have enough to get it in there.
And he just threw another one that went for a touchdown. So,
this one's not as much as his fault, but the one before this one, he sort of locked on the receiver, and then he threw not a duck, but he just kind of floated a little bit, and so he just can't get it there in the time windows, and he's not the same guy. I mean, listen. He's played in the league a long time. It's not like he's playing this way as a third-year guy. I mean, the music stops for everybody, and I think that's where he's at. And you just hope there was enough to get to another Super Bowl, but doesn't look like it's going to be the case. So.
No, that doesn't. Okay, it was not a touchdown, but it was a turnover. 4 turnovers for the Saints today in this game. That's the difference in this game. They had this game. They were winning this game. They did everything right, but in the end, 4 turnovers to 0. You're not going to win any game like that.
You're not going to beat a Tom Brady team -4 in the turnover department. I'm sorry. No. You give a Brady team a 4 turnover head start. Good luck to you. And Saints didn't have enough to close the deal. It is what it is.
All right. Well, John, since we don't have a full slate of games and everything, and game balls and goats and everything goes away, we're gonna run down the games. Obviously, Bucs Saints we just talked about, but. We'll start with the games yesterday as well. We'll start off with the Packers and the Rams. Packers winning 32-18 over the Rams. The Rams, they've been this was supposed to be their year. I mean, granted, they were 11-6 going into the postseason. 11-7 or 10-6 going in, and 11-7 overall. But I mean, this is just a Rams team that just looked poor today. I mean, Goff played decent, 21-27 for 174 yards, mostly dink and dunk type of stuff. Akers showing again why he's an absolutely incredible running back, and I think one of the best in the class. But I mean, you look at this compared to the Packers. You got Aaron Rodgers going 23-36 for 296, 2 touchdowns. I mean, Aaron Jones, I mean, on the ground, that looks like they're picking up about 200 yards rushing on the ground. I mean, this Packers team, as much as I hate to say it, and as makeshift as they've been, this is a scary Packers team right now, bro.
Yeah, what makes the Packers scary right now? Listen, Aaron Rodgers always been Aaron Rodgers. Even
Yes.
people who don't like him.
I mean, he's a piece of shit, but he's good.
But now they have a running game, something they really never had. They can beat you without Aaron Rodgers having to do it himself. And right now, man, I'm not going to say they're going to win the Super Bowl, but man, they look like the favorite. And if it's Tampa Bay, which it looks like it might be, versus Green Bay, maybe it's because I want it to be this way. But I'm gonna take Green Bay. I think they're clicking on all cylinders. I think their defense is even playing a little bit better. And
we're gonna touch on those conference championships here in just a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean, what do you make of the Rams? Like, this was a team stout defense, good quarterback, a running back that's coming into his own, great weapons at wide receiver. I mean, now Lambeau's not the Lambeau of old when there's no fans in it. You know what I mean? I know the weather had a little bit to do with it, but I mean, what's up with this Rams team? Are they?
I think they got quarterback. I think they, if you look at the box score, Goff didn't play bad, right? Yeah. But there's something missing there, man. Like he doesn't go vertical as much as I think they want to. I think he's a little tentative. I don't think McVay's got his guy anymore. I think Goff sort of fell out of favor. Now they don't have anyone right now that can come in and replace Goff. No one on the roster, but they may go in the offseason. You may see them make a move and get maybe a Derek Carr or Carson Wentz or someone. They may try someone new.
You speak of Carson Wentz, with Doug Peterson leaving and Brian Cuff Daddy, I completely agree with you. I thought this would have been a much closer game with that stout defense. They just carved them up, and it was more on the ground than in the air, which was really shocking to me. And that's what's scary. If Green Bay has a running game, watch out. If this and AJ Dillon, this rookie, I mean, he's legit too. This was a battle of two rookies showing that they're ready to take that role. They need a complimentary guy with them, both of them, I think, but they're ready to take this on and they're ready to make that next step. But I mean, you look at the Packers, dude. If they've got a running game, this is a scary, scary, scary football team. And beating the Rams like that, quite impressive. It does look like, after this first down, it is going to be the Bucks. So the Bucks are going to advance, barring the most ridiculous miracle in the history of the playoffs. So it will be the Bucks and the Packers next Sunday, and the Bills and the Chiefs in the conference championships games. But, this Packers team's quite impressive, man. I've got to give it to them. I think they're great. They could win this Super Bowl, especially when we get into the AFC here in just a few minutes.
Yeah. No, I think if we were reseeding them, you know what I mean, 1-4, if this was a tournament.
Let's reseed them right now. 1 through 4. Right.
I'm going to go Green Bay 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go Kansas City 2. I'm going to go Buffalo 3. And but crazy as it sounds, I'm going to go Tampa Bay 4. That's how I would. That's how I would.
I'm going to put we don't agree dead on a lot, but I 100% agree with you. I've got to have Tampa at 4. I've got to have the Packers at 1. I got to have the Bills at 3, and I've got to have the Chiefs at 2. So
obviously, whether Mahomes plays or not is that's a factor. We can talk about that a little bit, but let's assume Mahomes is healthy. I put them on the 2 line.
Yeah, well, the good thing for Mahomes is he does have a week to get through this, but it's going to all depend on the concussion protocol because if he does have anything outside of a very minor concussion, he is not going to play.
Yeah.
And you look,
well,
and you look at that, you look at that matchup against the Bills. Mahomes has to play for the Chiefs to beat the Bills. He has.
No, I agree. If Mahomes doesn't play, I think the Bills win the game. I think for almost certain. You know, if you look at the hit that he sustained the concussion on, it was really didn't look terrible. He didn't really hit his head. It looked like he really just had his shoulder, his neck kind of stretched out.
Well, I actually wanted to show that. So, what were you saying?
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull that up.
It's not one of those. It's not one of those hits where you say, "Oh man, he's out." You know what I mean on his feet. It wasn't. I think he got his neck wrung, and it's strung from that. Now, concussion's a concussion. I'm not a doctor, so I don't want to pretend to play one here. But I don't think it was the one of those where your head gets jarred kind of where you get your bell rung. I think he just got his sort of neck extended out and twisted. Sure. I mean, if you're gonna play it, we can kind of see.
I've got it up here right now. We're gonna. Here he is walking off the field, so you're gonna get.
He had no clue. He was dazed and confused. There's no doubt.
No, he was out. He was out 100%.
Well, here we go. Watch this.
Yes. The neck right about here.
Maybe a little frontal. He hit the front.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, if you look at that.
That does not look like a concussion. That looks that looks like somebody that kind of got hit so hard that like they're a little out of it, but they're gonna come back. You know what I mean? It doesn't look like the type of hit that's gonna give you like the Luke Kuechly concussion where it's gonna make you cry type deal. You know what I mean? Like I look at this as more of like a stinger where he was shook up. And I've seen plenty of players that were shook up that had that glazed eye look that they were just like, whoa. Like, I mean, he could have even blacked out for a second, but that doesn't necessarily mean a concussion. They haven't announced anything yet.
They said he was in
Kansas City, so he is in protocol. They are checking him out.
Yeah, and protocol doesn't mean you have it. I don't believe. It just means they're
it's just you're checking it. Yes, they're checking it. They're checking to see if.
So he may not have a concussion, and based on the play itself, and again, not a doctor at all, obviously.
But no. But hold on, you called me last night, and I know it was from a Holiday Inn Express. So I mean,
I did. I'm saying I only work. I only work on breast exam month, though.
Exactly.
That's the thing. All right, but. We went off the rails, but no, I mean, it didn't look like your typical, like you said, typical concussion hit. So he might have got, like we said, a stinger. They took him out, precautionary. Wanted to see how the game played out. They ruled him out. They were up by 2 touchdowns, and then Cleveland Then Cleveland scored on a turnover. Henny threw a terrible interception.
Oh, God, yes, he did.
Yeah, so, and then they scored on that. So I think when they ruled him out, I didn't think they thought the game was actually going to wind up being as close as it wound up being. And so it makes me wonder if that game was closer towards the injury time, if they might have waited before ruling them out. You know what I mean? And so once you rule them out, you can't bring them in. You're gonna have all sorts of hell to pay.
Well, I think they knew today. I think they knew today that this game was over. So rule him out, let him move on. I don't think Andy Reid had any worry whatsoever that they were going to lose this game. And so I think you put Henny in, you let your offense do their thing. And, I mean, granted, they made it a little close, but I never felt like KC was losing that game. the Browns may have made it look like a 5-point game, but the whole time I'm watching this game, because I had them covering a ridiculous 10-point spread for a team that hadn't played meaningful football in a month. I mean, come on. I had the Browns covering that 10 points, and all I was rooting for was, yeah, okay, good, you made it inside 7. Like, never did I think they were winning this game. So, I mean, you sit him, you rest him, and you get him ready for what's going to be a brutally hard-hitting game against the Bills.
Yeah, and we'll see. I just watched Drew Brees walk off the field. He waved to the fans, and just before he went in the tunnel, Drew, he stopped and looked back at the field. I think that's it, man. I think that's the guy. I think that's a guy who knows that's the end. And so,
well, Drew Brees from a Panther fan. Hats off, salute to you, my friend. You kicked our ass quite a bit, but congratulations on a wonderful career.
Yes, should be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he's got nothing to prove. I mean, he holds records. I think his play the last year or two sort of tailed off, but that goes for any player.
Well, I mean, you got to think about Drew Brees, man. Drew Brees could have had at least 2 more Super Bowls. I mean, 3 years in a row, they had the most heartbreaking playoff losses in the world. Like, I mean, whether it be Minnesota, you name it, last second, it was all the same thing.
And that brings up another point, Drew. You got to look at Sean Payton here. I know he's a good coach, very good coach, but maybe we got to talk about a Sean Payton. Maybe he can't get them over that hump. I know he's got a Super Bowl, but lately, the last 4, 5, 6 years, he just can't get back there. And a lot of these games he's losing, Drew, they're the favorite. They were the favorite today. Now I picked Tampa Bay, but they were New Orleans was the favorite coming in to this game, and again, a game, a division game, the divisional playoff game where they're the favorite, they're out again, and so I know almost every team would love to have him as a coach, but you really need to start thinking, is there something to that? One time is coincidence. 2 times is whatever, and 3 times it's a trend. And so I just wonder if maybe, I don't know. I don't know what you do. I don't know what stage you're in. They're going to lose Brees. Is it a full rebuild? Is it a reload? What are you going to do? And so
it's got to be a rebuild. Taysom Hill's not your quarterback, so unless you're going to pull out I think Peterson was fired to keep Wentz, so I think they're going to keep Wentz and Hurts. I don't know if Wentz moves now. Unless you bring in a top tier quarterback on a rookie contract or trade somebody, you've got a lot of trade assets. Trade up to get that quarterback of the future or someone big. I mean, you're in a rebuild. I mean, you can't lose Drew Brees. I mean, Kamara and Michael Thomas and these guys are good, but make no mistake about it, Drew Brees made those fuckers good.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. They got some, for being a very good team, they got some questions, especially once Brees officially hangs them up. And, we'll see. I know we say this every week, but every week that the season goes by, including the playoffs, Drew, it's going to be one heck of an offseason in the NFL with moves. I think the Steelers might do something un-Steeler-like and make a move, and so it's going to be a crazy offseason. I think it's going to be an offseason the likes of what we've never seen before. I think you're going to see trades. I think you're going to see maybe some cuts that might surprise people. I'm not even sure we're done with coaches necessarily being fired. We definitely got assistants that are going to be in new places too. And
Oh,
so,
and we're going to be doing one episode here soon, probably for our end of the year wrap up before we go into the off season. Where during the off season, we'll be doing shows every now and then. We are going to do our quarterback carousel where we think everybody will end up to see how this wild and wacky season turns out, because I have a feeling like you said, there's players where we think they're entrenched and ingrained as a starter. I don't think they're going to be. I think there's going to be changes that you don't expect to see coming, and so it's definitely going to be quite interesting. But Drew Brees looks to retire. Of course, we'll wait to see, 100% if that is the truth or not. But guys, call in and join the show. Let us know what you think. Is Drew Brees done? Should he be done? And who's going to be the next Saints quarterback? If you were playing GM, who would be the next Saints quarterback? Call in, let us know about that. Or who do you think is going to the Super Bowl? We're down to the Final Four, which we're going to look at right now. Call in and let us know who you think's going to make it to the Super Bowl out of these four teams, because we're right here at the end. We've got, obviously, next to the Packers, we know who it is now. Obviously, it is Tampa. So we've got Tampa, Green Bay, Buffalo, and Kansas City. Four teams, John, as wild as this season was, four teams that honestly, they deserve it. All year long, they were steady. They were solid. They had some ups and downs. But this isn't like a team that just got hot late and ran away.
Yeah, I mean, out of the four teams that, I don't think any surprises. I mean, Tampa Bay definitely early on, I wouldn't have said, but they really clicked. And
what I love is on the NFC, you've got Brady and Rodgers, the old school. And on the other side, you've got Allen and Mahomes, the new school. So you're going to get old school versus new school no matter what. And I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, personally, I'm rooting for probably Buffalo, Green Bay, just because. With all due respect, I don't want to see Brady in the Super Bowl again.
Yeah,
and I want to see. I feel bad. Buffalo losing the 4 straight Super Bowls. Mahomes won it last year. I don't want to see a repeat. And so, as a fan perspective of someone whose team is not involved anymore, that's where my rooting interests go. I like to see Buffalo, Green Bay. If you're asking me today who I think it's going to be, I'm going to go Kansas City, Green Bay, assuming Mahomes plays.
Okay, well, we're going to get into, obviously, we're going to, hold on one second. All right. Obviously, we're going to get into our Super Bowl picks here shortly, but we've got next week after these games. But with these 4 games right here, John, since we're not doing Game Balls and Goats, here's a surprise segment I got, and I want your honest opinion. Now, I want you guys to call in. I'll make a deal with you. First person that calls in, first 2 people that call in, join the show, ask a question, I will give away $5 of my own PayPal and Vintage Break credit for you. But, John, we've got 2 games. So who are the biggest X factors in these championship games? Who are the guys that are actually going to decide these games?
I think we talked about the one in the AFC. It's going to be Mahomes. He plays. I think. Let's put it this way: Can Buffalo beat Kansas City if Mahomes plays? Yeah, they can still win. But if Mahomes don't play, I don't see Kansas City beating a Buffalo team with Chad Henne under center. So to me, that makes Mahomes the biggest X factor. And in the Green Bay Tampa Bay game, I'm going to go for X factor. Rodgers is I believe, is going to play well. I think it's going to be, the Green Bay running game running back by committee. Can they do this again? Because if they can do this again, ground ground time off the clock, time of possession game, limit Brady's touches with possessions. I think Green Bay. I think Green Bay is going to be the favorite, and I think that's how they win. If they can't, if there's too many punts on Green Bay's side,
right.
It's going to be a game, and Brady's going to have the ball more. It's what you don't want. So I think I think on one side it's Mahomes, on the other side it's going to be the Green Bay running backs. All of them, Jones, Dillon, and Williams. So.
Yeah, I like those. I like those quite a bit. Mahomes, obviously, and the running game is going to be key. I'm going to go a little bit different. One, because I don't want to talk about the same two, but I think there's a couple other X factors in this. But when I'm looking at the Tampa Bay game, a lot of people, the Tampa Bay Green Bay game, a lot of people are going to say the quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. But I'm actually not going that way. And I'm actually going to go with Leonard Fournette in this game, because the way I look at it, it's playoff football. You're going to have to be able to run, and no matter if there's fans in the stadium or not, it's going to be fucking cold. I've seen the weather forecast. I've seen what they expect. It's going to be cold. It's going to be windy. If it ends up being nasty weather, you're going to need that running game. And just like you said, the Packers running game was an X factor. I think Leonard Fournette is what's going to drive this team. He's kind of taken over lately for Ronald Jones. I mean, Jones is getting touches, but Fournette's really getting the bulk of it, and he's making the most out of everything. I mean, if you look at the game today, Leonard Fournette alone in today's game was 17 carries, 63 yards. I mean, Ronald Jones had 13 for 62, so, they split everything. So, I mean, you could do it by committee, but Fournette's kind of the guy that sets everything up. He's that bruiser that really, makes people commit and cover up the middle, and will leave the outside open for Gronk to get open, for Evans and Godwin to hit their streaks, by pulling the safeties. So I really, really like Leonard Fournette as my X factor in the first game. Now, for the second game, there's quite a few of them, obviously. You've got two great teams. You got the Bills and the Chiefs. But the X factor to me in this game is none other than Josh Allen. I don't like Josh Allen. This, to me, I know Mahomes is whatever, and like you said, the Bills could beat the Chiefs with or without Mahomes, I think. But I think they definitely beat him without him. But Josh Allen, he's choked in the playoffs before, and he's choked in some very big games before. And to me, Josh Allen is the X factor of this game, because if he goes out and plays like the Josh Allen that we've seen, like just surprise everybody out of nowhere and become this incredible MVP candidate, if he comes out and plays like that, I think he can beat Mahomes no matter what, because I think that team is built to keep Mahomes off the field. And Josh Allen's going to be the guy that can do that. And so Josh Allen and Leonard Fournette are going to be my two biggest X factor in these championship games.
No, I don't disagree. I think you're right. Now let's talk about that Bills Chiefs game. I mean, assuming Mahomes plays, these two teams are very similar to each other.
Yes,
teams with great receiving cores that can throw the ball downfield, get vertical, and score quick. And this may be a track meet. And Kansas City is used to playing teams that can't keep up with them scoring wise. They boat race people out of the building, and they're not going to really be able to do that with Buffalo. And I think it's the one, when you say teams were built to kind of beat somebody, the Bills kind of have the blueprint to be the Chiefs beater. And we kind of saw that as the season rolled on, that they had that sort of same sort of capabilities and can score quick, and Stephon Diggs can, going vertical down the field. So I love this game from a fan standpoint. I think it's going to be probably the more exciting of the two. I think they're both going to be good. I don't want to sleep on the other one on the NFC side, but I think you got two guys that like to chuck the ball around the yard, and Allen and Mahomes more than even the other side. I mean, Buffalo doesn't use their run very much, and frankly, the Chiefs use the smaller passing game as their run game. So this is going to be, both guys will probably have pass attempts in the 40s, if not the 50s. And I think on the other side, you're going to see more of a balanced sort of attack. Like you said, Fournette, Ronald Jones, and then Brady throwing the ball. On the other side, Rodgers throwing it, but with Green Bay's newfound rushing attack, them balancing that out.
If A.J. Dillon isn't heavily involved in this game, then the Packers lose. They've got to have seen that getting A.J. Dillon involved in this game, teams do not have tape on him. If he is good, they don't have tape on him. He's playing good. He knows the system, obviously, and there's no film. This is exactly when you use a person like that. Like, if the Packers don't utilize A.J. Dillon, I think they lose this game.
Yeah, I think both games are going to be good. It's going to be fun to watch them. I wish the Steelers were there. I'm sure you wish the Panthers were. It's not to be. But, sometimes, not that I want it to be, but when the Steelers aren't at this stage, I can relax a little bit. There's nothing to be nervous about. I'm a sort of a nervous fan as a fan. So so now I can kind of go in and just see the game from a pure aspect. And I think we're going to have two good ones on our hand. The spreads haven't been released yet, but I think these are both going to be close games. I don't know about you, but I don't see anybody, unless Mahomes doesn't play, I don't see anybody like rolling, the other team over. And I think we're going to see some close ball games, probably games that come down to that fourth quarter and still in doubt, still up for grabs. And it's going to be fun. That's all you can ask for, is that when you have your team's not in the hunt no more, you just want to see some fun games. And I think we're going to get that.
No, absolutely. I think these are. Come on, Tampa, Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, and Josh Allen and Mahomes. Like I said, two legends versus two up and comers. And just teams that are all great. I think it's going to be great. This is a wonderful Final Four. No teams that I cheer for remotely in this whatsoever. I guess the Bills, because they take everyone that Carolina cuts. I guess maybe the Bills, but they're going to be two absolutely great games. But John, we got a little bit of time here. We do have one comment. Here you go. Brian Cuffman asks, do you think Big Ben is done?
Well, there's two ways to answer that question. Do I think he's done as a legitimate,
starter,
very good quarterback? Yeah. Or do I think he's done himself? Like, is he retired? So I'll answer the question both ways. No, I don't think he's done. I think he plans on coming back. He's got a $41 million.
He's coming back.
Yeah, no one walks away from $41 million. Now, do I think he's the guy? I think the last part of the year showed that the skills are starting to erode.
Okay, here's a question. Here's a question real quick. All right, so you don't think Big Ben's done. I don't either because of the contract. But do you think he's the starter?
Well, what's going to happen, Drew, and I'm very familiar with how the Steelers handle these situations based on stuff in the past. Right. If he comes back, he's going to have to renegotiate that deal.
Yeah.
The Steelers will not let him walk. I'd be shocked. Plus, they're up against the cap. The Steelers are not going to let him walk in the building at $41 million because, frankly, they can't afford it, and he's not worth it. And so, it's not like they can afford it and he's not worth it. It's both.
Right.
They can't afford it and he's not worth it. So he's going to have to renegotiate his deal. Now, one or two things are going to happen, quite frankly. He's either going to do that and he's going to play one more year. I don't think it's going to be pretty, truth be told, if that happens. Or they're going to cut him. He's not going to want to renegotiate, or he's not going to want to renegotiate to the level that the Steelers want, and they're going to cut him. Yeah. And, this is not uncharted territory. They did this to Troy Polamalu, who beloved in Pittsburgh.
I was about to say, this reminds me so much of Troy Polamalu right here.
Yeah. And so if they cut him, I read something, again, it's all hearsay. I heard if he gets cut, Jacksonville may sign him kind of to groom Trevor Lawrence for a year. Here's the thing. Ben Roethlisberger is not a groomer. Okay, he does not care about the next guy. Roethlisberger doesn't care about Mason Rudolph. He's not with 1 year left. He's not going to care about Trevor Lawrence.
He's got that Aaron Rodgers syndrome in him. He ain't doing shit to help the guy behind him.
Yeah. So that's what's going to happen, Drew. He's either have to take a serious pay cut, kind of do a year goodbye, kind of the going away tour, or they'll cut him. And I don't know what the plan B is.
Okay.
That's if they cut him, they really screwed themselves in a way because they did plan.
Yeah, and there's a shitload of dead money on that contract.
Yeah, $21 million.
My question is, okay, let's say he comes back. Let's say he wants that money. He comes back, and he has his quote-unquote farewell tour. Obviously, you guys were good. You were freaking undefeated through 11 weeks. Obviously, everything went downhill. We're not going to discuss all that because I like my co-host, and I don't want to see you hanging from your wall.
This thing is sort of gone. I can talk about it more. Yeah. It is what it is.
I know. I'm fucking with you. But so, all right, Big Ben comes back. He has his farewell tour. Does he really make it through that whole farewell tour? Because I don't see it. I see them bringing in somebody else, not a rookie. I see them bringing in a bridge quarterback, kind of like a Bridgewater, a bridge quarterback that will push Ben to either decide, hey, I want to play like I can, or they're going to throw that guy in, let him play, watch the season, do however it is, and get the quarterback when they can. Or maybe they sign one of these crazy free agents to back him up. But do you think, honestly, I mean, I don't see it. I stay away from Steelers stuff because, you're a Steelers fan, so I try and leave the expertise to you. But looking at the Steelers, looking at everything, if Big Ben comes back next year, I don't see him week 16 or week 17 having that final send-off unless it's out of pity and they throw him in after he's been benched for half the year.
The problem is going to be, Drew, is their line is in shambles. You got Marquise Pouncey that's reportedly is retiring. You got Alejandro Villanueva, who looks terrible.
Right.
He's either going to retire or the Steelers are going to cut him. He's not going to be on the team no more. You got another guy in David DeCastro, who's great, but he's getting longer than tooth too. And what I've read with him is he feels like if the line that he kind of grew up playing again, or with, I should say, is all kind of going away, he's gonna retire then too, because he's been very good, handled his money very well. He can retire. So I think you're going to see a whole new revamped line. I think you got Kevin Dotson, who actually played very well as a rookie. I think he's going to be a starter. They might have to go out and sign a guy or two. They fired the offensive line coach. Thank God, Sean Surratt was abysmal. Everyone thought he was going to be good because he worked under Mike Munchak. Just because you work under somebody doesn't make you him. That blew up in their face, and so now they got to go and hire an offensive line coach. You're going back to Big Ben. So he's going to have like 3 or 4 new guys in front of him trying to save his life. And he's got a new offensive coordinator in Matt Canada, who was the quarterback's coach. And what does Matt Canada like to do 75% of the time with his offenses, which I love, by the way? He likes pre-snap motion on
there
3/4 plays.
What and you guys have needed forever. You guys have needed that forever.
And guess who doesn't like pre-snap motion?
Ben
Roethlisberger.
Yeah. Oh, and Big Ben. Yeah.
So are you gonna handcuff the offensive coordinator for a quarterback that's got 1 year at the max? I don't see it. So Big Ben's got to do a lot of kind of concessions here. He's gonna have to take a pay cut. And besides the pay cut, he's going to have to learn a new offense at age 39, almost 40.
Yeah.
And it's an offense, Drew, that he would not like to run. If he was a younger player with more say and more power, he would tell, the front office brass, get rid of this guy or change the playbook. I'm not doing it. You don't have that. You don't have that carte blanche anymore. And so I don't know how this works with Ben being there. I really don't. We talk about storylines in the offseason across the board in the league. This is a huge one with my own team, is how is this all going to play out? If Ben stays and takes a pay cut, what do they do in front of him? Who do they get to fill in holes? And Matt Canada, who wins this tug of war?
Don't you have to use that money for the line and the quarterback that's going to eventually take his place unless you're drafting one?
Yeah, rumors I've heard, man, and I hope they're not true. At the 24th pick, I've seen a bunch of mock drafts. Many of them have him taking Mac Jones, the quarterback from Alabama. I don't like him. I don't like him. God, the other mock drafts I've seen, I like this pick better, is Najee Harris, the running back from Alabama. And that really hurt the Steelers this year. That lack of a running game was exposed. They beat some lesser teams early without it, but when they played the better teams late, they got exposed. And James Conner, they have to let him go. It's a great Pittsburgh story. He's a great guy, but this isn't, this is the NFL. This is a business. You're going to have to let him go. Or he's going to have to take us, talking about pay cuts, he's going to have to take a pay cuts and be a backup. I don't see him doing that. So he's going to be gone. I think Juju stays. What I'm hearing too, Drew, is that Roethlisberger is going to take a serious pay cut if they keep Juju. They're kind of a package deal. So here's what's going to happen. Either Roethlisberger and Juju are both leaving, or they're both staying with a hometown discount. So there's so much can go on. You know how these things go. You kind of start out. You kind of start out on amicable terms. You're talking, and then things go south, and then the team finally just says, "You know what? We tried." We tried, but we really don't. We got to do what's best for the team. We're moving on from Connor. We're moving on from Roethlisberger. We're moving on from Juju. And so I'll tell you this: there's going to be a lot of new faces in Pittsburgh next year, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because one of Pittsburgh's things is sometimes they hold on for a year or two too long, and it comes and bites them right in the what.
No, I completely agree with you, and it's going to be quite interesting to see exactly what goes on with Big Ben and everything. And guys, please let us know what you think. But as Nick Gable says, Tomlin doesn't have a good backup for Ben. No, not at all. And
the future quarterback of the Steelers, Drew, is not on
that team. No.
So I don't know who he's going to be, but he's not Mason Rudolph and he's not Josh Dobbs. So who is he? I don't know. But is he in the draft? Is he on another team? Is it Sam Darnold? so many questions. I've heard that they're going to go and trade potentially for Jameis Winston.
Jesus, no! What are
So
you doing?
you know what, man? I will say this. You're going to think I'm nuts here. I don't love Jameis Winston.
He could run that offense. He can run.
But I like him way better than Mason Rudolph, who to me is a barely viable backup quarterback. He's barely viable as a backup quarterback. And, they traded up. They drafted Rudolph. I think they thought he was something. He wasn't. I compare it to kind of what the Bears did with Trubisky, right? On a lower scale. Obviously, he wasn't Rudolph wasn't drafted as high as Trubisky, but they kind of fell in love with a guy they thought was going to be sort of a sleeper quarterback, and they never woke up. Trubisky in Chicago, and that's what Rudolph is in a later round pick, but they traded up to get him. That's what Rudolph is in Pittsburgh. He's not the answer. I think most people in the building know this. At least I sure as hell hope so. Because let me put it this way, if they let Ben walk next year, or they cut Ben and they just hitch their wagon to Rudolph, you're looking at 5-11, potentially 4-12. The only good thing coming from that is they'll definitely know how bad he sucks, and we'll get a really high draft pick. So, that's where we're at. I think they know. I think they're going to go. There's going to be either we're going to have Roethlisberger for one more year, or they're going to go and get, like you mentioned, a veteran like that to be a bridge for a year or two, and they're going to draft somebody, or trade for somebody, So.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, Brian. Between Drew Brees, Big Ben, Phillip Rivers, Dak Prescott, Carson Wentz, Derek Carr, Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill,
Andy Dalton in Dallas,
Tannehill, Tua possibly, Watson I think could move. I mean, it's Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold. Like it's gonna be absolutely insane.
Deshaun Watson's played his last game in for the Texans.
Yes, he's out.
Yeah, I don't think the Giants love Daniel Jones as much as they used to. Who's the quarterback in Washington, right? So, where does Dwayne Haskins wind up? He's going to wind up somewhere up here. I hear Pittsburgh's name in that mix too. I'm willing to give him a flyer without paying him a lot of money. I think if he gets his head straightened out, maybe Pittsburgh is the place to do it under Tomlin. Yeah. Listen, for what we have there after Roethlisberger, and truthfully, Roethlisberger's done in my mind anyway, even if he comes back and plays. So we gotta try something, because it ain't Rudolph and it ain't Dobbs. So if you want to take a flyer on Haskins, if you want to take a flyer on a Jameis Winston, if you want to pull a trade for Sam Darnold, I mean, you got to do something. You got to try. What the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Absolutely. So. Well, guys, we got a few minutes left, and we didn't have it last week, but just to let you guys know, it's time for the shit whip of the week.
I got a feeling I know what it is, but let's see it.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, there weren't many. There's two. There's two that I liked, but we're going with the fucked up one first. And it's in the Browns game, but just this brutal helmet-to-helmet hit on T. Higgins. Just an absolute brutal helmet-to-helmet hit on T. Higgins. That's going to be my first shit whip of the week. And the second shit whip of the week, we are actually pulling up in just 1 second. We'll pull that down for just a moment. That's the first shit whip of the week, just because I thought it was, big, nice hit. They're not showing it in fast speed anywhere because obviously they got hurt and they don't like to do that stuff. But couple of big hits from a lot of from some of the games. Which hit did you think it was going to be?
I thought you were going to go with the Mahomes, even though it wasn't brutal. I just thought the impact.
Well, this was my other one, and I just like the impact because it reminds me of wrestling. So this is my second shit whip of the week. This week we'll pop it right here. Here we go. Takes it and boom, just flattens him. Gotta love a good old flatten.
Yeah.
It was nice. It's playoff time. There's not too much. They seem to be hitting like pussies. I'd like you guys to start hitting a little bit more. But they aren't hitting too well. But there is your shit whip of the week. So I'm glad to be back. But guys, next week, John, we are down, buddy, to 2 games before the Super Bowl. Can you believe this?
Yeah, it did. It is weird. It felt like the season went quick to me. I don't know about you, but
big time.
Especially the second half. Like the second half really seemed to just ramp up and go quick, and then boom, teams were eliminated, including the Steelers. We're down to 4. Like you said, in a week, just 2 games left before the Super Bowl, and then the final 2, obviously, in the Super Bowl. And then it's that crazy offseason we just talked about. And it's going to start the minute that Super Bowl clock reads 0, there's going to be stuff already starting to happen.
Yeah.
So.
And John and I are going to discuss and come up with a schedule. Like, obviously, COVID, ended the offseason last year, so there was none. So we weren't able to do what we wanted to do. We may not be here every single week and everything, but we are going to be coming at least once, maybe more a month, talking about things that are going on. We're going to be doing a lot of special shows, talking pre-draft shows, end of the year award shows, all types of stuff beyond the Super Bowl. So it does not end when the Super Bowl's over. Just a couple more games, and then we're here, my man.
Yeah, and I'll go, piggybacking off what you said too, Drew.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be the kind of off season where even if we wanted to sort of not do the show, I think we're going to be forced to. Not that we don't want to do it. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But maybe once every 2 weeks, depending on the news. If it's a heavy news week, we'll jump on a Sunday night. We don't want to let a heavy news week sort of go and not talk about it. If it's maybe it's a quieter news week, we say, hey, we'll catch you next week, and we'll cover both weeks in one. I think a lot of it's going to be determined by what's going on in the week.
And before we leave, something very, 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 very important I have to show before we do leave today. By God, broke him in half. Yeah. And bitch. Sorry.
You know what? I don't know how many times I've seen that clip, quite a bit. And
it still makes me laugh.
Know that, and this was the first time I never caught it really before. I looked at the coach, and we see the coach on the sideline. He's getting like revved up. I didn't catch that. The
coach is jacked. He's like, hell yeah. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the show. Have a great week. We will be back with next week. We'll be looking at the final picks as we head into the Super Bowl. John has actually made quite the impressive comeback. So we'll be posting that here pretty soon. It's going to come down to the wire yet again. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. And if you are unable to watch us live and you're listening to us on a pod, you can always find us on any of the podcast platforms, iTunes, everywhere, all that jazz, Spotify. you name it, we're on it. And if you're listening to this on a podcast right now, you can find us every single Sunday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Mr. Newman, it's always a pleasure, man.
Yeah, and piggybacking again what you said, call in, come on the show, hear yourself on that audio stream. So again, chicks dig guys who call in the podcast. So
they absolutely do.
Right after the long ball, it's like chicks dig the long ball, and then the next one is guys who call in the podcast. So
yeah, and then right below that, it's dudes that collect cards. So anyway, you guys have a wonderful week. We will talk to you soon. Make sure to check out Sports Card Nation, John's show. He had an incredible interview this week, and I just dropped a new episode of Let Me Get That Potograph as well. So definitely check those shows out as well. And we will see you guys next week on Roughing the Passer as well, John. We'll be prepping for the Super Bowl, baby.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Take it easy, y'all.
Good night, everyone.
Peace.
Roughing the Passer calls.